are back for another edition of the Unreasonable Odds podcast. I'm Steve Buchanan, of course, with my handsome co-host Julian Edlow.
Compliments.
It's Monday. Feeling fine. Even though Titans, the Titans
9-unit swing.
Oh boy. Okay. Yep. We're not going to be happy on this show. That's why get all the pleasantries out of the way now, because it's going to be a very angry show. But of course, we're doing our Monday edition here. Kind of wrapping up what happened over in week 3. We're going to do a quick preview of week 5. Are we going on to week 5 or week 4?
5.
Week 5. Okay. So we're wrapping up week 4.
Well, wrapping up
looking
week
ahead
4,
towards,
yes.
Yeah. Looking ahead towards the board next week. Of course, odds are will be one of our favorite segments with our guy, Johnny Avello. He'll be on the show with Julian later on as well. And
we will be discussing the Sunday night. Well, starting off our discussion, at least, by discussing Sunday Night Football, which DraftKings Sportsbook tweeted out had the 3rd largest handle in the history of DraftKings Sportsbook.
Wow, that's wild. And rightfully so. I mean, obviously the hype for this. Like, I've actually, as I was driving home on Sunday after we did our shows, I actually saw a billboard previewing the game of Brady and Belichick. Like, I've never seen a billboard for a game before. But that was up there showing Brady and Belichick, so just showing the magnitude of that game. Obviously, I'm curious to see how the ratings were for that one. I'm sure that might have been one of the highest watched regular season games as well. Then we're going to do a little wild card talk. MLB heading into the playoffs without the Mariners, which is very upsetting. It took them to the final day to get eliminated. It doesn't matter for the bets because all Mariners bets lost, but very heartbreaking. Jared Kelenic crying in the dugout. I might have shed a tear myself. And speaking of shedding tears, we might as well get right to our new segment, Cash It or Trash It. Because let me tell you, it's going to be a lot of trashing in this segment. Because I'm just going to start off. I'm just going to start myself. I gave out a teaser that I was very confident about on Thursday, getting the Titans down to -1 and pairing that with the Packers, getting it down to, half a point. Packers, easy. Made it easy. Wasn't even close.
Easier than I expected. I thought that might be, if the Steelers had any life, that was going to be the game where they showed that they had life. The Steelers are done. Nope,
you're not going to beat Aaron Rodgers at home as a favorite, which is usually what happens anyways. And even with MVS going on the IR, it's not like Aaron Rodgers has a ton of weapons to begin with, but you know what? I said, that's fine. No worries about that. That was it. That was a breeze, which made the loss by the Titans all the more frustrating. And look, give credit where credit is due. It's not like the Titans just had a bad game and the Jets were able to squeak by. Jets looked pretty good. They were getting a lot of pressure on Ryan Tannehill. Coverage was good. They just had nothing going for them. The only thing that the Titans were doing well was running the ball with Derrick Henry. And in the situation where you're trying to come back from behind, you're not going to be using Derrick Henry, which is by far their best weapon, because they didn't have A.J. Brown. They didn't have Julio Jones. Both guys were ruled out, and it was very, very apparent, even in the first few minutes of the game, that they are going to miss those two guys dearly, because Ryan Tannehill couldn't hit anybody going against that Jets secondary. Honestly, I knew within the first 10 minutes, I said, this ain't going to hit. The Titans are just not going to have it. They're going to give the Jets their first win of the season. So that teaser, which was very painful for me because the Titans were in 85 to 90% of my teasers. So right down the board,
85
every teaser
to 90%. How many teasers do you make?
Oh, I make a few.
Well, if they're an 85%, that means you're building like 20.
Who said that? What if I have 10? What if I have 10? That just means maybe I left them out of one. I'm
saying 85% would be dumb. You say 80 or 90%, 8 or 9 of 10.
They were in the majority of my teasers. Cut the legs right out even before the 4:00 game started. So trash that one. Frustrating, but you know what? Once we learned that those two guys were out, you kind of knew what the Jets were going to be. And they ended up being the trendy team, right? And you even said that too as well. The Jets were coming the trendy pick once those guys were ruled out.
Yeah, I liked that. And I made the bet on the Titans, the teaser on the Titans, which was the best bet I gave out on this podcast. I will admit, I did adjust come Sunday. On this podcast, my best bet was a Tennessee-Tampa teaser. On Sunday, on the sweat, I said, let's go Kansas City, Tampa, which got there. So for I just liked that people were getting on the Jets, and I thought the running game with Henry would be enough.
Agreed.
Tannehill was still completing some passes to the guys that he did have on the outside, picking up some first downs. I thought they would get
Josh Reynolds was carrying the load for them in that game. Former Ram great Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, so I mean Tennessee, we can both trash it. Like I said, because that was the one leg of the plus 400 teaser, the 5-leg teaser almost got there again outside of the Titans. That was a 9-unit swing for the best bets article. We wound up minus 0.3 units on the week, so it was a break even week essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas if Tennessee had won, we're looking at almost 9 units on the week.
Right.
So it was make or break on Tennessee. Literally the definition of trash it. Needed the Titans to win that game, and they couldn't do it. For cash it, I'll admit that I was. See, this is the thing I'm hearing on Twitter this morning is like, oh, I told you not to use the Bucs. The Bucs came through on their teaser leg. Like I missed the part where the Patriots won the game.
Right.
Was I wrong about Brady throttling them? Absolutely. Belichick coached that game like it was a Super Bowl. Jacoby Myers threw 2 passes. They're sending these different blitzes.
Faking blitzes.
They're running trick plays. Like Belichick coached that game like it was a Super Bowl and lost. To which my reaction is like, good things happen when they opened it up for Mac Jones. Yep. Now you're playing the best run defense in the NFL, has something to do with it, and the worst pass defense. So it's an extreme situation. But I don't know, the way that the Patriots coached and played against Miami, New Orleans, now it's like, why couldn't you pull those ones out, go a little harder in those games? Right. Patriots better beat the Texans on the road in week 5. We will have our week 5 preview. But if they lose that game after a moral victory over the Bucs that's actually a loss, then just forget everything. I'm interested to see where the Patriots go from here, because if the lights come on and they need to turn it on and come up with a game plan, like Belichick won the individual matchup with Brady. I didn't think he could put up a game plan that would limit Brady. No touchdowns, a lot of red zone stalls, and the people forget the Bucs almost threatened to cover that game if Antonio Brown held on to that touchdown.
Yeah.
But I'll give Belichick the win over Brady in the individual chess match of that game. So if Belichick has that in him, then why is the scoreboard on the rest of the games the Bucs and Patriots have played since Tom Brady left so lopsided in favor of the Bucs? I find that an interesting topic, because I've been smashing Belichick for like, the Saints game was one of the worst games I've ever seen him coach. Extreme look ahead spot, but still, like, if you can coach like that, then why aren't you? So the Patriots were up for that game, letdown spot coming against the Texans. I find that game interesting. It's a talking point that we can go with. Cash it. I mean, the Tampa leg of the teaser with Kansas City, that hit. A Cincy Kansas City teaser, that hit. I did well on some public bets that the sharps kind of went against. I did take Dallas -4. I took Baltimore +1 in my best bets article. Those got there. Sharper bet, my Sunday ad was Bears -3. Anytime over 80% of the spread tickets in the public are piling on the Lions on the road, let me go the other way. Jared Goff, by the way, is now 0-11 in games that he is not coached by Sean McVay. He's only won an NFL football game under Sean McVay, and he's getting close to a season's worth of games played without him.
Yeah, it's getting bad. It's getting
Lions
bad.
Lions under 5 wins plus money. I'm liking it. So that's I cashed a lot of tickets. I just missed the big one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I was pretty heavy on Dallas as well, -4 against Carolina Panthers. We talked about that too before, like that secondary, that whole defense really hadn't been tested, and this was going to be the first test. And I would say that they didn't come out looking exactly how many people expected them to come out and look. The Cowboys just absolutely dominated that game. Sam Darnold is still leading the league in rushing touchdowns, by the way. Bad day to have over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Sam Darnold, to watch him run in for 2 of those against the Dallas Cowboys. But that Cowboys team and the Cardinals are the 2 that impressed me the most coming out of week 3 here. Obviously, I keep saying that, as well as the Patriots. But I think the convincing win by the Cardinals over the Rams is going to be talked about a lot this upcoming week, looking ahead to this week. And then the Cowboys, just like, I'll tell you, when they have Dak Prescott, and obviously, like, this is not a hot take or anything, but that is just such a different team when they have Dak Prescott, because you look at all the weapons that, Andy Dalton had last year, Ben DiNucci, whatever, couldn't get it done. When Dak Prescott is under center, holy crap, that just entire team completely changes. It's amazing. And now, we have some good matchups for them this upcoming week. They're going to face the Giants. That's the Cowboys I'm talking about. Then the Cardinals are going against the 49ers, who potentially looking like they're going to be without Jimmy Garoppolo for a couple of weeks now and go with Trey Lance. That actually probably is a better thing for the 49ers, if you're asking me. But the Cardinals are now the team to beat, in my opinion.
I mean, if you get a win, the Rams were the team to beat. The Seahawks and 49ers seem to be treading water. So if you go to LA and beat them, that makes you the team. If the Chargers beat the Raiders on Monday Night Football as home favorites, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the Cardinals are the last undefeated team in the NFL.
And then the Rams and Seahawks are on the short week this week. They play the Thursday night game, which actually I'm really looking forward to that one. Rams are 2.5-point favorites in that one. But that's, of course, before we get to Monday night. You want to do Monday night now?
Let's go to Monday Night Football.
Let's go to Monday Night Football. This game reminds me exactly with what we had with the Cowboys and Panthers last week. And in the sense that, and essentially what I'm trying to get at here is that the Panthers defensively looked so good through those first few weeks, but they hadn't really been tested. That's kind of how I feel about the Raiders, who are 3-point underdogs in this one against the Chargers.
Well, the only problem is, I was going to say, so the Raiders must be the Panthers in this comparison. The only difference is that the Raiders have 2 outright wins as underdogs over Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Baltimore is looking real. Pittsburgh looking less and less like an impressive win, but still.
I mean, they haven't really let up anything. 2 passing touchdowns total through the first 3 weeks of the season.
And now you're going to get outmatched with Herbert. Keenan Allen's going to have an advantage. Mike Williams is going to have an advantage.
Right. And so you look at this board, right? So, like, for example, I was looking at the props for this one. I was immediately looking to Justin Herbert. Over under 302.5 passing yards for Justin Herbert. I was like, whoa, that seems really high from what the Raiders have faced so far this season, because they really haven't let up anything. But to me, that says that, maybe this Raiders defense that's been so good so far is just kind of a smokescreen at this point. Like, would you be surprised if the Chargers come out here and pick this secondary apart? I wouldn't, because they really haven't been tested. I mean, would you consider the Ravens a test through the air? Not really, especially in week 1. The Steelers, forget it, even though they had the most passing yards so far this season at 295. But, that Steelers team is just, they're absolutely going nowhere. And then the Dolphins, I believe that's the game that Tua was hurt. Am I correct? In week 3? That Tua was hurt in week 3?
No, Tua got hurt in week 2 in the shutout to Buffalo, and Brissett started.
Oh, right. Okay. So it was Brissett. Okay. That's right. Because he had 32 completions with 215 yards in that game.
Yeah, I know I'm right.
So, I feel like Herbert could pick, because, like I said, at first I was shocked. I was like, wow, this feels like a lot. And then you go back and look at what the Raiders have played, and you're like, maybe it's not. Maybe the books are onto something here.
So this is a really tough game for me, and I have my Monday Night Football best bets article that I need to get out. It might be a game that I just sit this out on the sidelines and throw out some player props or some plus money things that, hey, if you want a little bit of action, here's some things to consider.
Yeah.
I lean to Chargers -3 because I think regression is coming for the Raiders. The Raiders aren't 4-0 good to me with 3 underdog wins. The Raiders are a great Monday night, but there's also stuff working. And Herbert in the passing game and Eckler, like that's the real deal. They have Bosa to rush the passer. Like they have Derwin James back there. They did get an injury with Murray, an important linebacker for the Chargers, which I don't like. But then there's, the Raiders are always fantastic on Monday Night Football. They're whatever it is, 5-1, 6-1 ATS, their last handful of Monday Night Football games. The game is in LA, which easily could mean a pro Raiders crowd, especially the Oakland fans that can commute to this game rather than going to Vegas. Like, I feel like this is going to be a Raiders crowd. And then you have the Chiefs coming off a big win at Arrowhead, so maybe in overtime. So maybe a little bit of or was that overtime or regulation? Either way, down to the wire. So I'm a little bit worried about the Chargers, but I do strongly lean to laying the 3 points with the Chargers in this game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you here too as well. I think that I'm probably sitting on the sidelines for this one. If I had a lean in this one, I'd probably go under 51. Not crazy about that total. I think the Chargers will do their part. But I worry about the pass rush coming from the Chargers against Derek Carr, because one of the biggest things coming into this season was how bad that offensive line was going to be for Derek Carr. They haven't really had to deal with that so far. This is going to be the game where they're going to have to deal with that. And this is where that, that thought process for people was, I don't know how the Raiders are going to do because that offensive line is completely changed, but that hasn't been much of a factor in the first 3 weeks. It's going to be a factor here. That's where I think that's going to be the biggest difference. So 51 just feels a couple of points too high. I think that's where I land on that one. So I think under 51 is going to be the play for me in this one. Most likely, like you said, there'll be some player props that we can check out later in the day. Of course, Julian will have his best bets article over on the DraftKings playbook. So you can check that out. So
Herbert's been really liking Mike Williams before we go to over to the Johnny Avello odds are segment here. Mike Williams first TD plus 750. Mike Williams anytime TD standard -110 juice. I don't mind. I don't mind either of those. And we did on Thursday night. We did a good job cashing that Jamar Chase long reception prop.
Yep.
So I'm kind of just doing this on the fly here. I want to see some numbers for Mike Williams and see what that prop. You want to look up the prop number while I bring up his game log here?
For longest reception?
Mike Williams' longest reception.
Yeah, it's over under 24.5, which I'll tell you off the bat is too low.
So that's what I'm thinking. That's also the exact number pretty much that we hit the over on Chase.
Yep, and that was done easily by Chase.
Okay, so he didn't get it week 1, only 20 long in week 1, 27 in week 2, 43 in week 3. Against Kansas City and Dallas, he's been going over weaker secondaries. I think the Raiders have a weaker secondary. Washington a little bit tighter, although it hasn't been all the time. And Mike Williams has 4 touchdowns. He's scored in every game. I'll probably be going after Mike Williams props in this game with scores, long reception, that type of stuff. He also has at least 7 receptions in every game. So just going into
I was just going to bring that up.
Okay, yeah. What's his let's see.
So if you want to do receptions for Mike Williams, that is currently at 5.5, but it is a really juiced up at -155. So I wouldn't say it's overly an attractive number.
No. What's Hunter Renfrow?
Hunter Renfrow is 4.5 at -145.
All right, yeah, I'm picking the right guys because everybody's already bet him. It looks like.
yeah, we've already missed the boat on these ones. But I mean, if it ends up getting to 6.5, I think that's still something to consider.
All right. Well,
I wouldn't be opposed.
That's why you read my best bets article. I'll have it all organized for everyone a little later, or probably it'll be out when you're listening to this. So, NFL Monday Night Football best bets.
And just for reference, Mike Williams is averaging over 13 yards per reception so far this season on 22 receptions.
Yeah, give me that over 24. Give me that over 24.5 on Mike Williams.
He absolutely should be getting there in that matchup.
That sounds like that sounds like our consensus Monday Night Football best bet right there.
Yeah. All right, let's switch over to one of our favorite segments. Odds are with Johnny Avello. Julian's going to be going over some Monday Night Football talk, some Sunday Night Football talk, even a little bit MLB playoffs. So let's take a listen.
It is an Unreasonable Odds Monday here, which only means one thing. Odds are with Johnny Avello, the director of race and sportsbook operations at DraftKings Sportsbook. Johnny, happy Monday. How are we?
Hey, Julian, doing good. Thank you. Yeah, it is a happy Monday.
It is a happy Monday for the sportsbooks because where we're going to start with the massive Sunday night showdown. I will start off saying DraftKings Sportsbook tweeted it out. The Sunday night game between the Patriots and Bucs, the third largest handle ever in the history of DraftKings Sportsbook. The only two games above it, last year's Chiefs Bills AFC Championship game and the Bucs Chiefs Super Bowl. So people bet on this game and they loved Tampa. The Patriots got it done for the books with the 2-point loss in terms of the spread, covering any number, including what I think is very interesting, covering by a point. That 3-point spread look ahead line that was hanging there all summer for people got involved with that. The 5.5-point line from the previous week, from early in the week, the 6, the 7 that got bet up to all week. The Pats covered all numbers, but on the other side, the Patriots had a kick to win that game. It doinked. The Bucs did survive for all the teasers, for all the money line parlays. So a really interesting result in that game. How did the book wind up doing on Sunday Night Football overall, both in terms of the spread and the money line teaser scenarios?
We did spectacular. It appeared that no one was interested in the Pats at any number from the three you mentioned. The look ahead to 7. And when it was announced a few days before kickoff that Gronk wasn't going to play, that didn't suppress bettors' opinions on where they were going to put their cash. So, but to be fair, Julian, there were some money line bets, money line parlays, and teasers that did cash on the game.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on from this game, what was the handle like here in the prop market? I know DraftKings Sportsbook had up the Brady specials. It was Brady Gronk specials for a while, obviously. Then Gronk gets ruled out. How did the Brady specials do? How was the player prop handle overall on this game?
Yeah, the prop market team did a great job of putting up some really spectacular stuff on the game. There were markets that were posted last Monday, Brady props. They range from the pass number that Brady breaks the all-time record to who catches that pass to break the record. And then you ask how do we do on them? Pretty well. They were bet heavily and the outcome was good.
All right. You mentioned the Bucs did get there and cash some money lines, some teasers. One team that did not help with that result, or probably did help from your side of things, Titans saw a lot of money on Sunday, despite some reverse line movement in that one. Combination of Tennessee not having its top 2 receivers there on the outside, and then the Jets, who have faced good pass defenses, finally faced a soft pass defense, and it helped the Jets really squeak one out in overtime. So I didn't want to get involved with the points in Bucs Patriots because I thought something that wound up might happen. Patriots lose, but cover that game. However, I was on a Tennessee Tampa Bay teaser, so that one's out the window before Sunday night even kicks off. How did the Titans help the book compared to that Patriots cover? Just the Titans losing outright. That must have broken up a lot of parlays, including parlays that included Tampa.
Yes, it did. It was one of the games, Julian, that had the least amount bet on the point spread, but there was plenty of money line and teaser action.
Yeah.
So between that and the other New York team, the Giants winning. Wait a minute. I think there's 2 other New York teams. I think the Bills, we're going to add them in there since they play so well now. But anyway, with the Giants winning, there were just a bunch of exotic wagers that got blown up.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Lions, who played the Ravens to the wire in week 3. A pretty wild result with the Ravens getting that 4th and 19, getting the longest field goal ever through to win that game. While the Bears offense, historically bad against the Browns in Justin Fields' first start, that created kind of a recency bias spot in my mind where over 80% of the money in terms of the spread, the last I looked, was on the winless Lions as a short road dog. I did feel like I was on the sharp side of this one, back to the Bears, wound up working out. What is the thought process on that number when all the money seems to be coming in on the Lions, but it's not really shrinking too much closer to a pick 'em there?
Yeah, we opened the Bears -5 in this rivalry in which these two teams have met 183 times. So, Julian, are you interested in kind of telling me what you might think that the win losses are and then 183 matchups?
183, so I'm going to guess very close to 90-90 each side, 92 and 91.
103, 75, and 5 for the Bears.
Oh,
Yeah, so let's get
okay.
back to 2021.
I thought it was going to be a neck and neck number right there.
Yeah, it was for a while, and then of course, the Bears ran off a bunch of wins there, and that's why, it sides with them now. It was in this particular game. It was unclear who head coach Matt Nagy was going to start. He said if Dalton was healthy, he would play. So the line was driven down to 3 Bears by game time, and the money line 240 -240 Bears to -145. So when you look at that final outcome, certainly worked out well for us with all the point spread money going that way, all the money line money going that way.
All right, let's go to the Monday Night Football game real quick to wrap up Week 4. Raiders, one of 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. They've generally shown out very well on Monday Night Football. This is a road game in LA that can easily turn into a Raiders home game type of atmosphere in my mind. The last splits I saw from DK, Raiders taking some pretty big bets as 3-point dogs in this one. Always a popular Monday Night Football team. Is that still the case? And if so, do you think this number is on the move at all by kickoff?
Well, the Las Vegas Raiders get their second primetime Monday night game, as you mentioned, because the first was a doozy. I mean, it was a spectacular game. The Raiders have been seeing more attention here, but the Charger money is starting to show up. And when you talk about the number, I don't believe this number departs from the opener of Chargers -3. But if it did, it most likely wouldn't be down to 2.5. The greater possibility would be that it would go up to 3.5. But neither one of those is probably going to happen. I look for the juice to fluctuate at 3 as bookmakers absolutely detest getting off a key number like 3 in an isolated big action game.
All right, that makes sense. You'll see that. I think we've seen the juice moving around all week on DK Sportsbook. It's touched the -120. It's been at -105. So we're staying at 3 there. All right, let's look ahead to Week 5. We're going to do our week look ahead as we always do, and it's the same 2 questions. What games have taken the most early money, and which spreads do you expect to move the most for this Week 5 NFL board?
The Jags have taken some early money at home versus the Titans. That line's moved pretty much from a couple of points. The Steelers backers having given up hope as they are the early choice at home versus the Broncos. The Broncos were actually open to favorite. Now the Steelers are a small favorite. The bettors either like what they saw from the Pats or they didn't like what they saw from the Texans, as the Pats line has moved from 7 to 9.5, with that game being at Texas. The Bills are seeing some early money in another terrific Sunday night matchup at Kansas City. A couple of games that could, and we talked about this before, that could possibly switch favorites are the Washington football team, who's currently the home dog versus the Saints, and the Chargers, who at home are a 1-point favorite against the Browns. Now, that could change based on their performance tonight.
Right. Yep. That's a key one to pay attention to. All right, Johnny, before we get out of here, the MLB playoffs are here, and these wild card matchups are some heavy hitters in terms of brand name. I think we're going to see a lot of handle on these MLB wild card games. Red Sox Yankees wildcard game at Fenway Park on Tuesday night. I'm still trying to talk our producer Samir into grabbing tickets with me, so maybe the Unreasonable Odds crew will be at Fenway Park on Tuesday. Garrett Cole, a -125 favorite in that game over Nate Eovaldi, getting some plus money on the home Red Sox. Where's the money been going here in the early going?
Well, they call these wild cards for a reason. And I think the reason on these wild cards this year is because you mentioned wild teams being in here, teams that, we thought would probably be winning their division. And here they are in this one game race. The early money's on Cole. He opened up a -120. This game's moved a nickel to -125.
Yep.
But, this is a really tough matchup to decipher. I mean, Cole's 2-2 on the year versus Boston. Eovaldi 2-4 versus New York. Really, really tough game to handicap.
Well, we're going to talk MLB, Steve Buchanan and I, to close out this show, but a little sneak preview. Sox plus money at home. We're doing it. Maybe it's because I'm trying to go to the game. All right, the NL side. Ridiculous storylines. Cardinals get as hot as it gets to roll into this wild card game. Then you have the Dodgers, who are probably the best wild card team that we will ever see. 106 wins, a powerhouse. Giants, a Cinderella story, improbable division winner, 107 wins. I've got to assume that the money, if the Cardinals landed on any other normal wild card team, I think people would love to ride this hot streak, but they're running into a brick wall here in the Dodgers. Where's the money going in this one in the NL?
Well, you'd be surprised with the early money here, Julian, because early money's on the cards, but that's based on two factors. Number one factor is the price. The Cardinals were plus 190. That's a nice price to take on a team that's been playing pretty well. That's now down to 180. And the other factor is Dodgers star Max Muncy. He's declared out for this game.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that Dodgers lineup, that game at home, Scherzer, what he has done in those 11 starts with the Dodgers has been extremely impressive. So really quick, MLB bracket is set. Are you seeing any big bets in the futures market now that we kind of have a feel of who's going to be facing who, what these wild card matchups are, and how do you handle the Dodgers here? Because this is the most fascinating part of the whole futures board for me. The Dodgers being World Series favorites, despite having to play in the wild card game. We have never seen that. I feel like we will never see that. That's rare.
Yeah, the Dodgers have taken a good chunk of the action all year, but being relegated to this one game, play, that takes their odds up a touch here. Because if you look back, the Dodgers were 5-2, and now they sit just shy of 4-1 at plus 390. Because they add the extra game into the price, and it takes up the original price that when we thought they should have been the favorite, and they still are the favorite. Now, another team that has drawn some fairly large wagers and now are the second choice, that is the Astros. The Astros are now 9-2. I remember one big one, about 250 grand on them. So that'll shrink your odds a little bit.
Was that a mattress Mac bet?
That's a Macker.
All right, we're getting some Macker action on the Astros to win it all here. Excited to see how these wild card games shake out. Excited to see how these MLB playoffs shake out. That is Odds Are with Johnny Avello. Johnny, thanks as always, and we'll talk to you next week on Unreasonable Odds.
You're welcome, Julian.
All right, thanks, Johnny, for joining us. As usual, he'll be back as we do Odds Are every Monday, so make sure to stay tuned for that really unique insight into DraftKings Sportsbook. So thanks, Johnny, for coming on. Let's do a quick look at the Week 5 board here in the NFL. Some interesting lines right off the bat here. A lot of reactions from what we saw last week, and we were just talking about this a second ago, Julian. Patriots going up to 9.5 against the Houston Texans. We saw that go off the board during Sunday night, reopened at 9.5. If you got the look ahead line early, you could have got that at 7.5 in favor of the Patriots. So probably not going to be seeing that number anytime soon. Buccaneers coming off the win, might have been a win in the column, but maybe not the moral win. -10 favorites over the Dolphins, who are going to be just starting Jacoby Brissett once again, as Tua is sidelined, at least probably for the next week, this week and next week.
Still at least
it's looking
week
like
6.
Yeah.
So at least one more game. At least one more game he's missing.
Of Jacoby Brissett. And then actually, as we were talking here, I believe I just saw, I want to bring it up. Okay, yes. Will Fuller broke his finger in Sunday's loss, expected to be week per week. Business as usual, I guess you should say, for Will Fuller, who is it's not just the Texans he can't stay on the field for. It's clearly the Dolphins too as well.
Right.
They lost someone there too as well. What's kind of sticking out to you here? I have one game that I have circled. I'm curious if you're going to be on the same one. So what's sticking out to you here first?
It's an interesting board for week 5 here. I've bet one thing already, and I threw it out on Twitter. I already released my week 5 best bets article. Technically, it just has no analysis and one play in there.
Lazy.
I can't get on board with this Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense isn't good. Bills and Chiefs should be a shootout. Really interesting total there at 56. I lean over, but my bet that I put out, one team plays defense, one team doesn't. And they're two elite offenses. The Bills looking for revenge from losing the AFC Championship at Arrowhead. The Chiefs have been, hanging on by a thread in all these games, a couple calls away from a much closer game against the Eagles. It felt like, even though that was the clear bounce back spot of the week. This is moving to 2.5 most places. DK Sportsbook still had 3 up at -120. Give me the Bills +3 on Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead. I made that a 1.5 unit play, and I'm going a half unit on the money line at +135. A really good number there. That's going to go down as well. Give me the Bills to win the game for a sprinkle. But I'm going to take those 3 points with the Bills.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting spot. I actually was curious what this line was going to be at, because the Bills did what they were supposed to do against the Houston Texans, absolutely decimated them. Didn't think they were going to shut them out, but that gigantic spread that there was on the board covered easily. It wasn't even a question for them. Now they're going up against the Chiefs, who have been very beatable in the secondary. They looked a lot better last week. Tyreek Hill kind of got back on track after 2 mediocre weeks, but I mean, this is just going to be an absolute barn burner. It feels like in that Sunday night game, over under 56 points in that one. But yeah, I'm with you. If I could get 3 points for the Bills as road dogs, I'll absolutely take that number there. That's a really enticing number. The game I was looking at that I thought was really interesting was how close the spread was in this Packers-Bengals game. Bengals are home underdogs in this one, +3.5 on that. Feels like this should be a spot for the Packers to cover.
I know,
but I also
reminded me of week 1.
I loved everything I saw with the Bengals last week against the Jaguars. Like that offense
is made it that difficult on themselves, but yeah.
Sure. But I mean, that offense is just clicking, man. Like I love Burrow. I just absolutely love Joe Burrow. And I'm talking myself into backing the Bengals in this spot. I think I want to take them as home dogs in this spot at 3.5. The 3.5 is what's most important to me. That's the key right there, is getting it at that number. Because I feel like this is going to end up shifting. So I want to absolutely lock in that 3.5 soon, if not now, as we record. Might do it now. But I think that that number there, the 3.5 number, is key. And that's why I think I'm going to back the Bengals in this spot.
That's a stay away game for me. I just don't have, it feels like, wow, a really short number on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, but then, the Bengals are 3-1 with some good wins over the Steelers and the Vikings. I don't know. I'm intrigued to watch the game. I do like what I've seen from Joe Burrow. A few other spots on the board. Let's talk Thursday night quickly for a second, because Seahawks at home, prime time. They're coming off another road underdog win. Good showing for the Steelers, bad showing for the Rams. Is it a bounce back spot? Is it a bounce back spot for the Rams? Generally speaking, I would say yes, but it's a short week on the road in the division. This is a tough one. I think I like the Rams in this game, but I can talk myself into either side of this one.
I don't like either side. The spread's just too close for me. Like so let me put it this way. The spread is correct that it should be, under a field goal. But I don't have a lean towards either side because I didn't like what I saw from the Rams at all against the Cardinals. And the Seahawks, despite the win, looked kind of sloppy last week. To me, that wasn't a convincing win for the Seahawks last week. Like they're playing really sloppy football right now. And that's a team that you can't afford to play sloppy football against coming off the loss. It is on the short week, but so as I'm describing this, it makes me sound like, okay, then I should be back in the Rams. But I think I could also talk myself onto the Seahawks too, as well. Just, I don't love either side in this game. This is probably a player prop game for me. I don't even have a lean in this one.
All right, we'll see. I might have a take there by the time we come back on Thursday.
Also, did you realize the Jets Falcons? That's the London game. That's 9:30 a.m. That London game.
Right. Oh man, like Falcons laying points against anybody right now.
Right. Right.
So now I'm gonna bet on the Jets coming off an improbable overtime victory and flying out to London. I don't care about this game. If you said you gotta bet this game, I'm going over 44.5.
Yeah.
Is that the number?
I would agree with that. Yep.
Over 44.5. If you made me bet this game, is what I would take. But here, let me talk about a few other spots, and then we'll close with maybe some teaser thoughts. Not a good teaser week, by the way, but
no, it's not.
I am getting sucked into a few favorites in kind of that no man's land. And by no man's land, I mean it's not a field goal and it's not the 6-7 spreads. There are some games in between there. Cardinals. The Titans just burned us.
Yep.
The line last week here was 7.5, 8.
Oof.
Jaguars almost win in Cincy. Titans lose to the Jets. Now the Titans are only -4 at Jacksonville. The defense is not good. The Jags might put up some points, but if just one of the receivers comes back for Tennessee, I'm probably in on Tennessee as a square road favorite. Like Jacksonville's still going to lose games, and Tennessee needs this game. You just lost to the Jets. You have to beat the Jaguars to kind of hold things off.
So with that mentality, do you take it now or do you wait?
It's not going to get to 3, so I think you can fire soon. I'm going to wait more to see injury report type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait to see the bodies there on that game. Here's another one, 4-point spread. Where is it? Carolina hosting the Eagles. Give me Carolina. I'll lay the 4 again. 4-point home favorite. The Eagles defense is terrible. Carolina's covering and winning this game. You love the Eagles with a rookie head coach and no defense.
Look what they just did to the Chiefs yesterday. Like, come on. They were in that game. They were in that game.
And then they lost by like 20 and threw a garbage time touchdown.
Okay, but I would say after what we just saw the Cowboys do to that secondary last week, like Jalen Hurts, for as ugly as these games are, is phenomenal. He is putting up points. He's putting up yards. Like this team is getting downfield, whether it be with Devonta Smith, with Dallas Goedert, like even like the ghost of Zach Ertz was getting involved yesterday. Like they're going to get downfield against Carolina. I'll take the +4 with the Eagles.
I'm going to be on the other side of that one. I think I haven't bet anything yet outside of the Bills, but I'm probably going to be on the other side of that one. Even weirder numbers than 4, 5. Cardinals coming off a huge win, 5-point favorite over the 49ers. This is going to be a Trey Lance first NFL start on the road against an undefeated team.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to bet the Cardinals after their huge win, but I don't see this going well for the Niners. I don't like their defense. I don't think Trey Lance is ready for this start. He's good on the ground. He's not ready to throw the ball in the NFL, and we saw that against the Seahawks. Again, I'm leaning the favorites here at these weird numbers.
Now, like you said, this is a bad teaser week so as it is thus far. Not a lot of good numbers that you can do that at, but things can change. Things can always change. We'll keep an eye on those, and then we'll give you the full board on Thursday. Go ahead.
Teasers. I'm not going to take Tampa from 10 down to 4. Tampa's going to beat Miami, but I'm not teasing them. I don't want to touch the Giants Cowboys spread, which is at 7. I'm not going to tease them down. If anything, I would take the Giants +7 in that game. Probably. I like the over in that game, which has been bet up quite a bit. Not touching Patriots -9.5 after that big game. I think the Texans at 10 at home might even be a bet against this Patriots team. There's just a lot of spots that I'm not touching. There's one very strong teaser piece, and I think that it is Minnesota -7.5 at home against the Lions and Jared Goff and his 0-11 record without Sean McVay. The Vikings are going to win that game at home. They need that game at home after their poor start too. If there's another teaser leg to put it with, I'd probably go to Monday night and tease Ravens Vikings as my 2 home touchdown favorites going against a 1-win team and a no-win team. That's probably my teaser this week if I make one, Minnesota and Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore can also both teams can benefit with the extra day for sure, but I would definitely leave with the Ravens in that one too as well. Those are probably your teaser pieces for the week. Looking at the board, I don't mind taking Dallas down to 1 as a home favorite against the Giants either. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that one. I think I'm not really sure there. I don't mind the 7 with Dallas. I with New York. I don't know if I'm going to bet that game though. All right. Any other thoughts on this week 5 board before we talk some MLB wild card?
Now let's do MLB.
All right, MLB wild card. These are the best wild card games we've ever seen. Big name teams, big name pitchers. Tuesday night, AL wildcard. I'm still looking for my ticket. We'll see if our producer Samir will get out of a date with his girlfriend and potentially go to the game with me on Tuesday night. I'm looking to go to Fenway. It's going to be fun. Yankees Red Sox 1-game wild card. Doesn't really get better than this for baseball, for playoffs, for atmosphere,
ratings.
We got Garrett Cole -125 favorite over Nate Eovaldi +105, and the Red Sox total set at 8.5. I'm looking forward to this. I hope I'm there. We'll follow up on that. I don't think I'm being a homer here. I like the Red Sox.
You should.
You're the baseball guy.
wrong.
I'm teeing you up.
The wrong team is favored here. I get it. Like, you want to back Garrett Cole in this big spot. You want to back Garrett Cole. That's the guy you want on the mound if you're the Yankees to pitch this big game. But Garrett Cole has been a disaster since September. When the lights are shining bright on Garrett Cole, does not perform. He does not perform well. And the numbers will back that up for somebody that's been as good as he's been, for somebody that's been in the Cy Young talk all throughout the last few months. Garrett Cole in the month of September through 33 in the third innings, gave up 20 runs on 37 hits, 6 home runs, 5.13 ERA in the month of September, by far the highest of any month so far this season. Garrett Cole has also struggled against the Red Sox. 22 innings pitched this season, 13 runs, 24 hits, 5 home runs against the Boston Red Sox. The wrong team is favored in this one. The Red Sox are absolutely night and day. But the deciding factor in this one is Eovaldi has been pretty good against the Yankees. And then in the 3 starts that Garrett Cole has made at Fenway Park this season, 6.19 ERA, 11 of those runs given up, 19 hits, 5 home runs for Cole against the Red Sox at Fenway Park this season. That's where they're going to be for this game. The Red Sox offense, really kind of limped into the postseason. Like what I saw in that series against the Nationals, especially coming back to beat them yesterday on Sunday to basically clinch this game for it to happen. But personally, I think Garrett Cole's hurt. I think he's been hurt just because the numbers just don't add up. And for somebody that was supposed to be the runaway Cy Young candidate, he absolutely imploded, gave that to Robbie Ray. I'm going to be extremely rich in about a month or so when that Robbie Ray ticket cashes at 80-1. Hopefully everybody else got on that. I have seen many tickets in my DMs and on Twitter. So we're going to have a lot of rich people.
I'll DM you my Mariners to win the AL West ticket for a refund.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. That was a long shot and we came pretty damn close. So a loss is a loss, but I'm happy that I was, even though I didn't win it, I was on the right side of that. I can go to bed knowing that. But yeah, I just absolutely love the Red Sox in this spot.
I'm down to fade Cole. I've bet the Red Sox plus 105. Evaldi won his 2 starts in June over the Yankees. Here's my only thing. Just going to box scores, like just looking at scores when Evaldi faces the Yankees. July 17th against Cole. This one was called in 6 innings. 3-1 loss to the Yankees. Not a full game, doesn't count, but lost to Cole. Faced him again at Fenway a Saturday night later, lost 4-3 to the Yankees. Pitched at Yankee Stadium in August, lost 2-0. Again, a 7-inning game, so we're not getting full games here, but this is, Evaldi starts. And then Evaldi was lights out in September, outside of 7 runs in less than 3 innings at Fenway in an 8-3 loss to the Yankees. So Evaldi has to get back to what he was doing before against the Yankees in this game. But I'm down to fade Cole. I'm taking the plus money with the home team in this one.
And the thing about Evaldi is he's been so much better at home this season, and that's where obviously this game is going to be. So that also has.
But the 7 runs he gave up recently was at home.
Correct. That is very true. But for over the course of the season, Evaldi has been much better at Fenway Park this season. Doesn't give up a ton of fly balls, doesn't give up a ton of home runs. So I feel confident in Evaldi. I mean, I think it says something in itself that the Red Sox chose Evaldi to be in this game, not someone like Chris Sale, who did not have a good start against the Nationals. So thankfully they avoided that one. But Evaldi is the guy. He is the ace for the Red Sox.
All right. Well, if Samir, mans up, maybe the Unreasonable Odds Twitter handle at Unreasonable Odd tweet out a picture from Samir and I at Fenway. Obviously, Steve, the invite is open to you, but since the Mariners aren't playing in the game, I assume you're not interested.
Not overly interested. See, if the Mariners just did it, they could have been in this game, and I would have been there as a Mariners fan. That's fine.
I mean, we should just get DK to take care of this and send the Unreasonable Odds crew to Fenway Park on Tuesday night. Right, however, there's also a game on Wednesday night, the National League game. Like I said, these wild card games are bonkers. The Cardinals are red hot. Adam Wainwright is pitching like it's 1994. He's in this game at Dodger Stadium facing Max Scherzer, who has been fantastic since coming over to the Dodgers. His name was, I don't think he's going to win the NL Cy Young, but his name was in the...
He might.
Corbin Burns. I don't know. Scherzer could win a questionable NL Cy Young.
They're both questionable, both leagues, quite frankly.
Okay. Dodgers are minus 220 at home. Even money on the run line if you want to back them. Huge favorite as you would expect because this is a 106 win wild card team. The Dodgers are favored on DK Sportsbook. Have the shortest odds of anyone in the postseason to win the World Series, yet are in this wild card game. Giants winning that division, absolutely ridiculous. This is the Cardinals are red hot. The Dodgers are as good of a team as you could ask for to ever play in. The Dodgers will probably be the best team ever to play in a wild card game. I'll say that. as interesting as it is to take the hot team plus 180 on the Cardinals on the road here, I don't think the Dodgers blow this opportunity. They just worked all season to win 106 games. Now you get one at home to make it all count. I don't know how you capitalize on that. I think they do it convincingly, so I don't mind the even money on the run line. And then that's obviously a parlay piece for me. I think they get this. So like we're saying, it's not a teaser week. I really think the Vikings are going to win at home against the Lions. Maybe you do it. You got to wait for your money. Cross sport parlay again. You got to wait for your money for Sunday. But maybe you just parlay the Dodgers and the Vikings, something like that. I'll get around to this. We're gonna post some tweets on the Unreasonable Odds Twitter handle. We're gonna post some short videos, maybe with some MLB postseason handicapping. What do you got on this Cardinals Dodgers game?
I don't see how the Dodgers win this game. Like their biggest trade deadline acquisition was Max Scherzer.
You don't see how the Dodgers win this game?
I don't see how the Cardinals win this game. My mistake. I misspoke there.
If you don't see any single scenario of how the Dodgers can win this game, we need to talk.
I think the Dodgers absolutely win this game. Their big trade deadline acquisition was Max Scherzer. The throw-in was obviously their best hitter in that span, and Trey Turner. Scherzer has absolutely dominated since donning a Dodgers uniform. He's made 11 starts since coming over to the Dodgers, has allowed a total of 15 runs through 68 in a third innings, has struck out 89 over that span. That gives him a K9 of 11.7. I mean, he's just absolutely wiped the floor with every single team that he's faced since he's come over to the Dodgers. He's faced the Cardinals twice already. They've got one earned run off of him in total through 14 innings. He struck out 22 through 14 innings. I get it that the Cardinals are the hot team coming into the playoffs, but when I look at something like that, to me, that's a team that peaked too early. They peaked about 2 hours too early. And obviously they needed to do that to be in this position to begin with. But now they're running into the freight train that is Max Scherzer. And if there's anybody that you want in a big game, that's probably one of the top three guys that you want taking the mound if your team is in a must-win situation in Max Scherzer. I mean, this guy was pitching with a broken face last year, looked like a raccoon, and he still went out there swearing at every batter that took the mound, was striking everybody out, had an unbelievable start in that game. The Dodgers should win this game. They will win this game, and they will go on to the NLDS.
Yeah, this is one where people are going to get, I mean, I think the majority of the money is going to be on the Dodgers, but the people that bet the Cardinals are going to be almost tricked into a narrative, because any other year, I would be very interested in this underdog hot Cardinals team, but you have to look what they're running into. They're not, if they went to the Braves or the Brewers, who are firmly in the postseason, I would like backing the Cardinals in this game, but that's not what they're doing. They're going to the best team in baseball, who lost their division by a game to one of the biggest Cinderella teams of all time, 107 to 106 wins. So wrong spot for the Cardinals. Really good story. Can't back them. Dodgers get that one. So those are the wild card games. We'll know who won when we come back on Thursday, and obviously maybe get into a little bit of an MLB postseason preview with our guest that we will have on. We'll do a little bit of college football, and we'll of course cover the entire Week 5 NFL board. That is the Unreasonable Odds podcast presented by DraftKings. You can follow Steve on Twitter at SBuchanan24. You can follow me on Twitter at Julian Edlow. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Unreasonable Odd, and we will be back on Thursday.